They should build a big river across America so you can just go across it by boat. Building it would also create a lot of jobs as well. Can someone explain to me how this would even be physically possible? Shovel. Just fucking dig, you idiots. It's pretty simple. You just do what they do in Minecraft. Shovel, bucket, water. Easy. This is what's wrong with America. Gen Z just doesn't want to grab a shovel and start digging. God fucking damn it. America would totally build a river before Lightspeed Rail. Yes, correct. That is totally correct. The children yearn for the Great Continental Canal. Oh, gosh. And then, as I was talking about earlier on the topic, a new Iowa law lets kids drive to a job unsupervised when they're as young as 14 and a half. The state says these kids need to get to work. Iowa enables child labor as young as 14 until 11 p.m. in the summer, 9 p.m. during the school year, and up to 6 hours on a school day.
Do you have a quick minute to do,
what is it on? Oh, I'm going to pass on that.
That's Iowa State Senator Jason Schultz. He's the sponsor of the most dramatic rollback of child labor protections in the nation, even if he doesn't want to talk about it.
No, I'm going to pass on that. I'm just kind of stepping back on that one. I'm going to not get into any conversations. I'm going to stay away from that, although you might find out later why. Oh. There you go. There's your tease.
Senator Schultz is clearly proud of his work, but as our investigation will show you, he's just one part of a shadowy national effort funded by big corporations and PACs to roll back child labor laws that have been in place since the 1930s.
More states are considering changes to child labor laws as they try to fill jobs. Maine and Michigan lowered the required age to serve alcohol. New Jersey raised the limit on the number of hours teens can work over the summer. In Minnesota, a new bill would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to work construction jobs. In Iowa, a proposed law would let 14 and 15-year-olds work certain jobs in meat packing plants.
The Iowa bill takes child labor law rollbacks to the next level. Think kids in ultra-dangerous meatpacking facilities, high-volume Pepsi bottling plants, and working for cheap on the searing hot ovens of fast food chains like McDonald's for 30+ hours a week. No, for real. Iowa Republicans want to allow kids between the ages of 14 to 17 to work in incredibly dangerous, often deadly workplaces. Places like construction sites where more than 5,000 workers died last year. As it's set up now, there would be virtually no restrictions. The job would just have to be part of an education program, something that the company could invent itself. It's true that more than a third of teenagers across the US worked summer jobs in 2021, but serving ice cream isn't exactly the same as working in building demolition. So why would lawmakers put kids who are just finishing middle?
Also, there's like a huge difference between having kids practicing service labor, which actually can teach you a lot. I do think, honestly, teenagers benefit from working a service job because it's a period of time in your life where you're a little bit more willing to be molded and you're not like set in stone about your political stances yet. And you haven't yet been convinced that empathy makes you weak. So having the opportunity for like a period in summer, like a summer job where you work like retail, even just working as like, you know, someone working in McDonald's or something, or working at a bakery, or running a lemonade stand or whatever the fuck, right? Honestly, I don't disagree with that. I think that that's fine. Kids aren't really doing anything in the summer anyways. If they want some disposable income, great. And it teaches them it can teach them some good life skills. I know my social anxiety personally benefited from having to work like customer side. It gives you some life skills. It like helps you break out of your your little corner a little bit. And it teaches you how service work can be very degrading, which I think helps build class consciousness. I think overall, that's pretty decent. I don't think that that's inherently bad. I think that that's fine. Being 16 or 17 and working a service job in the summer, if you want to. Yeah, okay, cool. Working during the year, the school year, is a fucking joke. That you're pushing a law that says, hey, kids can work about 6 hours a day on school days. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, we want kids working with chainsaws at 14 years old. Go fuck yourself, actually. Actually. I don't think there's anything wrong with teens working, but they do need special labor protections and they shouldn't have to work to survive. Totally agree with you. Yep. Like a part-time summer job. Yeah, that's fine. I think kids should be allowed to get, and when I say kids, I'm talking 16 and older. 16 and older, okay? I don't honestly think that it's a bad idea. If you as a teenager, you want to work a job and you're allowed to work a service job, you should not be working in construction sites or in factories under the age of 18. Are you fucking kidding me?
School into such dangerous situations. Here's what Rep. Deo, the House sponsor of the bill, says.
Right now, kids can be out till 10 o'clock if they're out for a sport or a school activity. And so why are they not able to work until, say, for
fuck
example,
yourself.
9 o'clock?
The difference is when you're, I don't know, here's an idea, just an idea. When you're doing sports and fun activities, you are enriching your brain and you are doing things that you want to do. When you show up to your job at the fucking factory, you're sitting there doing manual, menial labor at a time where your brain is very open to developing. And you get to experience the dog shit that is having a boss breathing down your neck. So you get used to poor labor conditions at an early age.
Actual expert we spoke to firmly disagreed.
It's a bizarre argument to argue that playing team sports is akin to working in a factory or some other dangerous environment. We like kids not to work more than 20 hours a week because that's kind of a cutoff for damage that's done to them educationally.
Okay, so why are lawmakers actually doing this?
The bill was really spearheaded by the Restaurant Association. We sort of came along. We were asked to be, we were invited to come along.
That's Brad Epperly, a lobbyist who works for big corporate clients like the Iowa Grocery Industry Association. He's outright admitting to us that the Iowa Restaurant Association was the driving force behind this bill. They're an affiliate of the National Restaurant Association, a trade group that represents some of the biggest names in fast food, like Burger King and Taco Bell. They also lobby for big corporations like PepsiCo and Cisco. And from one look at their newsletter from this time last year, you can tell they've been hard at work spreading the gospel about the benefits of young labor. The hands-on internship at the slaughterhouse is their big priority this year, but we can't give them all the credit. This child labor law rollback originated at a meeting of the Iowa Workforce Development Board, which is overseen by Governor Kim Reynolds. Most of its members are corporate CEOs and lobbyists, and they meet up several times a year to come up with new policies. This bill was a product of a meeting in November. The WDB is chaired by Jay Iverson, executive officer of the Association of Iowa Builders, hence the emphasis on kids using bandsaws on work sites. Lobbyists from the Iowa Association of Business and Industry are well represented on the board, which gives member corporations like John Deere and Google seats at the table. And of course, no race to the bottom would be complete without the Koch-funded Americans for Prosperity and Opportunity Solutions Network, also lobbying on the bill. Given their obvious enthusiasm, we tried to get some of these lobbyists to talk to us about the many benefits of child labor.
Yep, Coke.
I'll go ahead and do this.
But they were a bit shy to take credit for their work. The next part of the bill was clearly written for the Iowa Restaurant Association, Hotel and Lodging Association, and National Bureau of Independent Businesses, the state leaders in low-wage jobs. It would allow 14-year-olds to work in giant freezing meat lockers and raise their mandatory clock-out time from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and then 11 p.m. in the summer.
The research that has been done has found pretty clearly that
What do you mean children, 14-year-olds shouldn't be working in meat packing factories until 11 p.m.? What do you mean by that? See, here's the thing, guys. All right? The reason why child labor laws need to be banned and the reason why we have to have these protections put in place for kids is because not every child out there has good parents. Not every single kid is lucky enough to have parents that understand your education is the most important thing. if you want to get a summer job and, have some more money and go work at McDonald's for a little bit, yeah, go for it. Sure. It's summertime. You can spend your summer how you want to spend it. But you're right. You're 16. You're sort of learning what it's like to maybe start becoming an adult, to having some free will. Okay, yeah. My kid wants to go work at McDonald's. Sure, why not? The problem is, not all parents are good parents. I have known parents or kids that went to school with me who told me their parents demanded that they went and get a job as soon as they turned legal age to get a work permit and to work as many hours as they could. And it's like, wow, your parents suck. Jesus Christ. I don't know how else to say that. Your parents should not be concerned about you doing anything except school. That's it. It is your parents' job to make you care about school and put in as much effort and love into education as you can. That should be their job. Having fun, all that other stuff, obviously. Your main job as a minor is just your schoolwork? Yeah, because there's just nothing that's more important. And then in your free time, you spend it how you want to spend it. Relaxing, enjoying life, because once you become an adult, you just lose so much time. I knew a guy in high school whose dad forced him to work at a grocery store for under minimum wage. I wanted to report the store, but he wouldn't tell me the store name. Growing up in farmland, I knew families that explicitly had kids just so that they could work on the farm. It's disgusting. It's like, this is my most, this is my craziest take. My hottest take. If you as a parent force your kids to work at your restaurant because you can't afford labor, I hate you. I hate you. Forcing your kid to have that, to carry that burden, that oh, well, I have to spend my free time, the only free time I'm going to have for the rest of my life, potentially, because once I become an adult, I have to go start worrying about college and I have to start worrying about all this other shit. And if I don't work and my parents can't afford this, then we lose our house. So now I have to grow up and become an adult and not care just about my school. If you treat your child as an extension of yourself or your property, I hate you. I just it's just irresponsible. It's just irresponsible. It's just not fair to that kid. Me and my boyfriend had our first jobs when we were 16. And it's probably the best we could have gotten, but even then we still had to pay rent because our parents' mortgage just kept rising. There's that whole, hey, man the register while you do your homework thing, which is probably mostly fine. I mean, there's a difference between getting your kid to spend all of their free time working at your restaurant, and there is hey, do you want to come and do this? Hey, do you want to spend your weekend working here? It's as if school isn't hard enough. If the kids want to do it and they're getting paid, it's eh. Oh yeah, obviously that's fine, right? I don't care about that. That's fine, duh. But you as a kid, you will, up until the age of 16, that is going to be the only time in your life that you will have free time, that you don't have to spend worrying about living under capitalism. And to have that robbed from you? It was common in my small town to hear, I owe you, I birthed you, so you have to do X. Getting kids to work way too young. I was 12 when I started there, but there were some that were even younger. I agree in principle, but it's a bit of a modern day first world idea. Is it a first world idea that kids should spend their time learning and reading and working on school? Even in America, I'm sure many families making use of their child's labor are doing it mainly to avoid poverty. But like, I, that doesn't mean we should make it legal. That the point is that it should be illegal to the point where like parents cannot choose to abuse their kids for labor. You shouldn't, like, it's all it's doing is creating a cycle of poverty that is allowing people to use kids for labor. A lot of parents have the mentality of I had to do it, so you should too, instead of striving for something better for their kids, which is just so weird. Also, by forcing kids to do labor, it's setting them up to be impoverished when they grow up because they aren't educated. This is the other problem that I have with it, right? If you're against poverty and you're against the perpetual cycle of poverty, the best thing you can do for your kids is to make them focus entirely on school. By allowing kids to work and allowing parents to force their kids to work, you're creating this perpetual cycle of unskilled labor, which is basically labor that we can get away with paying you nothing for. Not to mention wage stealing and just abuse in general, yeah. But yeah, anyways, it's just frustrating. I hate seeing people defend it. I hate it so much. It's just like, no, it's okay that my kid is working at 12 years old. It's like, dude, they could be working on interests that they care about and love. They could be sorry, I'm just like trying to control myself a little bit. If you have your kids spend all of their free time when they're a kid doing unskilled labor, all you're doing is getting them used to getting abused by major corporations and showing them that there isn't anything else that they can do. And that's why you have to make it illegal. Because you can't trust parents to make good decisions across the board. Dude, I feel so bad for vegans because they have to deal with these weirdos in their like community. Stop animal murder and torture. Any public school has to let you do a taste test for new meals. This discourse should be applied to baby animals that eat at home. I'm completely serious. You're ignorant about the baby animals you eat at home. School people who care about the baby animals they eat at school. Like what? Like how does it feel to be insane? To be an insane person, to see a conversation about human beings and be like, how do I make this about how veganism is the most morally correct thing? Must be AI? Must be. Must be. I don't, it's giving, guys, it's giving that one video of like the homeless man who had his like dog stolen. The animal rights activists that have completely lost their humanity to the point where they're shoving a homeless person on the ground to save his dog. Like, how dog shit does your moral compass have to be that you go to grab a puppy and you shove a person on the ground and say, you don't have the right to have this? I feel so bad. I feel so bad for the based vegans because they have to deal with these fuckers. These insane people who have zero empathy in their body. And they're the type of people that are like, I hate humans. I love animals. If you hate humans so much, why are you here? Why are you here? Go live in the forest. Why are you in a Twitch chat where there's thousands of other human beings that you hate so much? Leave. We don't want you here either. You don't understand. They needed to get the puppy so that it can be euthanized ASAP. Yeah, it's just, oh my God. I love animals, but I hate homeless people. I am very morally sound. Ugh. I'm vegan, and much like the leftists, the crazies make us look so fucking bad. I know. I'm vegan. It should be about harm reduction. This ain't it. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually very excited, by the way, because I recently started actually just substituting almost all of my meals with Huel. I'm not sponsored. Not sponsored. But the cool thing about it is that all of their meals are vegan. And I have wanted to cut out meat for the longest time. So I've like drastically reduced my meat intake. It's not even close. I think maybe last week I had chicken once. And 2 weeks prior to that, I think someone invited me to K barbecue, and that's it. I've only eaten meat, I think 2, maybe 3 times in the past 3 weeks, which is really cool, which is really nice. That is really incredible because I have been wanting to reduce my meat intake by so much for so long. I'm very happy. And is it actually tasty though? Let me see if I can get like a Huel sponsorship, guys. Okay. Let me see before I do any marketing for them. Okay. Before I do some marketing for them, let me see. Let me see. But yeah. Plus, in my opinion, the best way to push people towards vegetarianism or veganism is just like creating more easy substitutes and engaging in as much harm reduction as possible. I would much rather get people to reduce their meat intake and be like, you know what, today I'm not going to have any meat. Or you know what, next couple days I don't need to have chicken or beef or whatever. I don't need to do that. Yeah, sure, why not? Then tell people, yeah, well, if you're eating animals, you're a terrible fucking person. It's like all you're doing is convincing them that they cannot change, that they are this meat eater and that there's no point in changing unless they're willing to give everything up. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Start with meatless Mondays? Oh, yeah. Which is really cool, in my opinion. You know how the USDA spends time and money making dairy products for the dairy industry? They just need to spend those resources making good vegan products. 100%. I totally agree with you. I just want more normies to realize it's actually not that hard to cut out meat here and there. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Lex, thank you so much for the 9 months. Thank you. So anyways, fuck these chatters. Terrible, annoying, hate them. Also, Joseph, thank you so much for the Prime for 7 months. Thank you. All right. Oh, there's something I was going to pull up, but I think I lost it. That's okay.
20 hours is kind of a cutoff, and when kids work more than that during the school week, their grades start to plummet. and their school completion rate starts to plummet.
Many businesses like retail, restaurants, and fast food joints love to hire kids because they'll take a lower paycheck. If they can stay at work even longer, places like McDonald's, which loves hiring kids, don't even need to worry about hiring adults who can fill those jobs, let alone paying them living wages.
Children's brains are not fully developed, especially that part of the brain that exercises caution, that tells a person that, oh, this is dangerous, I might get hurt. That part of the brain is just not quite there yet.
Translation, kids are fucking stupid.
And it doesn't really fully develop until the early or mid-20s.
The bill would also let 16 and 17-year-olds handle alcohol on the job, which effectively puts them in pubs and bars with intoxicated adults. Consider these all big wins for BlackRock, Vanguard, Wellington, JP Morgan, Fidelity. Those Wall Street titans naturally own big stakes in the multinational food distribution powerhouses Cisco and Performance Food Service, two of the top donors to the Iowa Restaurant Association.
Hog crazy. Finally, kids can experience what it's like to have a hard day at the factory. I've been vegetarian for a long, long time, and my parents were frustrated by needing to cater to it for a very long time. They eventually realized that they don't need meat in every meal themselves and have gone meatless in a lot of their dinners on their own. That's amazing. This is the other way. This is the other thing that I think is really useful, like leading by example. Like, I think a lot of people don't recognize that you can eat, there's a lot of vegetarian food that is very delicious, that is very cheap, because meat is actually kind of expensive. And you can show people tasty food that doesn't have any meat, that you would otherwise never even like think about it. Like falafel, I think, is the best example. Where I have yet to make falafel for anyone and have them say like, this is gross. Or be like, where's the meat? A falafel pita sandwich with some salad and some like tahini and some white sauce. It's like, oh my, it's so good. It's not missing anything. It tastes perfectly complete already. To die for. And you can honestly make actually like falafel vegan if you use like flaxseed instead of egg as the stabilizer or whatever. I eat I eat potato chickpea curry every day. Yeah. I tried falafel once. I hated it. Okay, maybe you didn't have good falafel. Wait. But like you can show by example. It's like, here's this really tasty, delicious meat. Oh, just kidding. It's not meat. It's a secret other thing that makes you think that you're satisfied and you don't need meat, actually, all the time. Falafel typically doesn't have an egg. I mean, it kind of depends. Different areas make different things. I know I grew up with it having egg, and I like it having egg. Basically, falafel is just this mashed up chickpea that you fry, and you need something to help it stay together. Some people use flaxseed powder. Some people just use flour or like cornstarch, and although those don't, in my opinion, work as well. I tend to put an egg in, and I think it works really well. But that's just my opinion. So too bad most of the yummy meatless food has the onions in it, which I can't eat. Can you really not have onions? That's so sad. Bill O'Reilly sexually harassed one of his employees by wanting to use a falafel in a bathtub with her. He meant to say loofah. What the fuck? What the Syrian variant is pure vegan? Ah, okay. Yeah. Is it essentially fried hummus? Sort of. It has a completely different flavor. It also has like a lot of like parsley and cilantro and mint and spices in it, whereas hummus is pretty, it mostly just tastes like chickpea and tahini. It's a different texture, different color, different flavor, in my opinion. But if you like hummus, you probably like falafel. I don't like any food with cum in it.
Truly the voice of small business. But there's one company that benefits more over any other.
Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle.
Hy-Vee is one of the biggest employers in Iowa and one of its most prolific violators of child labor law. Every few years, a new report seems to come out about all the minors unlawfully working for them. Since 2000, Hy-Vee has been fined over $700,000 for more than 30 labor law violations, including a big fine last year for safety violations. But as much as they forked over to OSHA, Hy-Vee has been even more generous to Kim Reynolds and Iowa Republicans, shelling out over $815,000 over the last decade alone. Reynolds even kicked off her 2018 campaign for governor at a Hy-Vee and appeared on their bespoke talk show.
Hy-Vee is a great example of a phenomenal employer. They're one of our largest employers in the state of Iowa. They're in small communities all across this great state and one of the major employers in these small communities. So very, very grateful to that helpful smile in every aisle.
It's unclear how many kids were working there at the time, but Hy-Vee is just one of many corporations that are now regularly being caught violating child labor law. For a bill pitched as a cure for so-called worker shortages in Iowa, where the minimum wage is still $7.25, and so many other states, the reality is damning. You've seen the headlines, including the huge recent expose in the New York Times about the proliferation of child labor. Since the pandemic began, violations have exploded and were up by 37% last year. Packer Sanitation Services, Hyundai Kia in Alabama, Blackstone-owned PSSI, a sanitation company with systemic violations. Instead of cracking down, states are lining up to legalize the practices, 10 over the past 2 years alone. It's much the same story in Arkansas, Ohio, and Wisconsin. Big donations by big corporations are leading to laws that put kids at risk in order to save a few bucks.
I agree with you guys, chat. There's a lot of sound effects in this video, but it's really educational, so I'm going to keep watching it. I'm sorry. Also, salty sandals, thank you.
The intention is written in plain English. The original version of the Iowa bill called for total corporate immunity if a kid got injured at a dangerous workplace. Lawmakers were forced to scrub that last part, but employers will still avoid liability if a kid gets into an accident while driving home after working late into the night. Exploit a kid's cheap labor, then send them packing, and no responsibility when there are consequences. It should go without saying, but such a textbook example of corporate greed and corruption shouldn't qualify as educational experience.
It's just such a joke. A mentorship at 16 where you get to like work at like a woodworking shop and learn in safe environments with like a licensed teacher of sorts. Yeah, I think that is actually great. You can set kids up for like a good experience in trade school. Wonderful. That's very different from putting a kid in a factory and telling them, here, meat pack this. If you lose some fingers, you lose some fingers. Too bad. There is a massive difference between direct supervision and learning more about different crafts than just working in a fucking factory. So I think it's every time in this obscene country, Iowa, we passed a child labor law against child labor, right? 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 Children would love the idea of, Republicans would love the idea of children soldiers. The children yearn for the mines and the meatpacking factories. A production warehouse where a mistake can kill or seriously injure them. Have you met a 15-year-old? They suck at everything. But this is why I say, like, I don't think it's a bad idea to have kids try, if they want to, during the summer, to do service work. Because what are they going to do? Tell a customer to go fuck themselves? Like, honestly based. Great. The harm is so minimal. Oh, they didn't sell enough product in the day. Okay. I don't care. Maybe a 15-year-old working with something that can cause as much damage as a forklift? I don't know. Maybe that's a bad idea.